Dr. Andrew Napier, and the company is IntuBlade. IntuBlade. Andrew, are you ready?
Yeah, and let's get this PowerPoint up and going. All right. Second to last, I hope everyone is still awake. Thank you for your time. Let's get this going. My name is Dr. Andrew Napier. I'm an ER doctor here in the Bay Area, California. I'm presenting my company, IntuBlade. It's a battlefield-inspired medical device that's guaranteed to save lives. Move on to the next slide. We'll start back with the genesis of the idea. In 2008, I was deployed to Afghanistan. There was a soldier in my battalion who died from wounds sustained from a VBED attack, a vehicle-borne IED. He had seen a speeding vehicle laced with explosives going towards the convoy. His primary weapon had malfunctioned, required him to lean out of his vehicle to use a secondary weapon. He engaged the vehicle. It caused the vehicle to detonate early. He saved the lives of 4 other individuals inside of his vehicle, but that VBED had exploded. It struck him into the face and also into the neck. Multiple wounds with blood that was pouring throughout the oral pharynx and across the interior neck. The medics in scene, they tried to place an ET tube, a breathing tube into place. They were unable to secure an advanced airway. The soldier later succumbed to his wounds in the field of battle. At that point, I really began to question the medical equipment I was issued as a soldier. And I was going and working for years to try to find a solution to that issue, and have done just that. So at InnovatorMD, we've invented a device that will save lives. It's a simple, revolutionary medical device that's used to help establish an airway. And these all came from problems I established while serving in Afghanistan. These problems continued on when I became a physician. I now work in the ER throughout COVID, throughout the number of intubations that are performed throughout these past couple of years. I see this continually on a daily basis. Just for everyone in the audience, what exactly is an intubation? I know that we've got some clinicians here, and I know there's non-clinicians as well. Intubation is when we use a device, and you'll see here at the top of the screen, a laryngoscope. It's placed into the oral pharynx, and it's used to help position to allow the passage of an endotracheal tube. This is performed about 16 million times a year to establish airways. And what your doctor sees during this intubation, on the left side, you'll see a clear view. You'll see the epiglottis, and you also see the vocal cords. That's clean, it's nice, it's textbook. But many times, especially in the pre-hospital environments, combat environments, you'll see things like on the right side. And also to help illustrate this, I want to show a video, slides rather from a video, to help to further illustrate how quickly these things can become complex. So again, focal target here is the vocal cords in order to pass the endotracheal tube. And we'll go to the next slide here. As you see the first attempt, there's the ET tube. It's trying to pass, and you'll start to see here the blood start to form around that tube and obscure that target. This continues to go. You'll see the frothing of that blood, and into that video display that's completely obscured the view of the clinician in this real intubation. And this resulted in a failed intubation. So if there is anything that blocks that field of view, I'm required to remove that device. I have to clean this device off and also reinsert that back into the oral pharynx. During all this period of time, we try to reoxygenate the patient, but the patient's going effectively without oxygen during that time. This leads to undesired delays, of course, that can lead to long-lasting effects and permanent effects, stroke, cardiac arrest, brain damage, death. Also, there's costs associated with that, of course. They've put these around 15,000, looking at a few studies, $15 or $15,000 per failure, with a 20% mortality rate, very, very high with the major complications. There's with the amount of complications, 600,000 a year. That's associated with around 120,000 deaths a year, and that this in excess of $9 billion in damages. Also, some of the most common used devices are reusable. They're starting to show more and more with these reusable devices, despite the use of sterilization techniques of being linked to more hospital-acquired infections. This is a problem all of these issues, stemming back from the device, is something I've become obsessed with, and why I ended up creating a device. So again, InnovatorMD is a video laryngoscope. We have a patented spray feature you'll see on the right hand of this slide that's used. It's a user initiated spray that is from a syringe that's placed inside of the laryngoscope. So a user can activate that. quickly and easily with a very small amount of fluid to clear the lens from any sort of debris. This will become the new standard of care for innovation once this is made commercially available. There's a large market here. Again, like I had mentioned, the 16 million innovations a year. This is continuing to grow, and actually the ASA had released a statement issuing what's going to be standard of care as far as innovations go. COVID has turned everything on its head in every facet of medicine, but especially here with innovations. I trained on direct laryngoscopy, meaning no tricks, no cameras, no wires, no electricity, nothing aside from the light. But that's changed. Putting a clinician closer into that field and to that range, of course, has led to more infectious risk to the operator. So, we've moved away from direct laryngoscopy completely. And back before COVID, this was still growing at a compounded annual growth rate around almost 18%. A very large addressable market. Our device is 510(k) exempt. There's no costly FDA reviews, approvals. There's a very quick entry to market. And of course, we're here poised to save lives. So our target market, again, being a former soldier, this is something I hold near and dear to me, is getting this out to our brothers and sisters in arms that are out in harm's way to help, of course, bring those troops home. We're looking to engage with DoD contracts. We've been in touch with quite a few different branches, including the Army Futures program, in order to get this out to soldiers. We're looking to put this into pre-hospital medicine. This is also groups that have reached out to us independently. They purchased demo devices from us and have requested to purchase our devices. From that, we're hoping to springboard into civilian hospitals from that entry. This acquisition of users, again, demo units have been sent out, pre-hospital medicine, military medicine, ICUs. We put things out, not for human use, but just for demonstration. You'll see this is a live demonstration for someone that had gotten one of our demo units as well. We published our results of a mannequin study, but it wasn't a peer-reviewed study in the journal, American Journal of Emergency Medicine, showing in a simulated environment with moulage blood, how quick our device is compared to the industry leading, which is GlideScope. It's a 50% reduction in that time. So that study was published at the beginning of last year. We've worked with a couple of other partners for grants and also for leadership. And these are things that we're continuing to push forward today. How do we remain profitable? How do we add functionality and not come at a cost? Well, going through and working with our engineering team, working backwards, going and finding these actual the producers of the leading industry providers. We get a cost of what this takes to produce, the overhead associated with these very large companies. When we really drill this down, with our device, without these large overhead costs, we're able to bring added value without that necessary or tacked on figure. So there's numerous of video laryngoscopes that are out on the market. This is a busy slide, but basically showing that we are uncontented. We don't have, and there's no one that's out that's addressed this issue. It's a pain point to probably anyone in the audience now that's dealt with this. Anyone that has innovated before, they've come across this. You speak to anyone pre-hospital medicine too, and this continues to be an issue and something that, again, we hope to address soon. So operationally, we've been self-funded to date. So as a resident, this is something that I funded everything that came out of my $3,000 a month paycheck. With a kid, like I put everything into this to try to produce, to make a prototype, to do everything by hand. I don't have an engineering background, but this is something that I learned quickly and picked up. This has since taken form into what it is today. We do have a finalized prototype. Again, we have a very robust legal team. We have 2 patents at this point for the device, another pending. We do have a clear path for next steps beyond from where we sit today. And that just more ties into this next slide, showing that. So right now we are in talks with multiple manufacturers. Again, like COVID has kind of thrown a wrench into issues with production. It's kind of caused a couple of setbacks as far as pricing and also availability. And it's led to issues with purchase orders that we've received. What we're really looking for at this point, a couple of things. We are looking again to enter that market into the DoD and also for pre-hospital medicine with EMS providers to find the procurement offices and individuals that are running that in order to establish those purchase orders. And also the strong contacts within DoD itself. From that point, of course, we're using that as a springboard onto the next side. We've gotten quotes, and recently we have just been on the phone these past few weeks as well, and this has been shifting back and forth on trying to get this moving target of a company that can actually produce and put this in hand. We get promises, but again, this issue with the chips, with production has caused a lot of problems. But we're looking to raise at least $500,000 in order to produce and get these first devices finalized and completed to complete our first DoD sales. With that, we have everything in compliance with the FDA. We're ready for the commercial market. With this amount of money, the continued amount of money comes with all this red tape that comes with everything that goes along with medical devices. Unfortunately, some of this gets messy, as you can see in here, but the cost on this is just an
Time up, Andrew.
Perfect. Yeah, and that's the last slide. So any questions, please, I'm available here. Here's my contact information, and thank you all.
All right, let's see. Vince, you go first.
Okay, so I have a very simple question. When do you plan to commercialize and be available?
When we have money. That's really it, because we've been burning. The problem is that initially we burned some bridges, like right when COVID had kicked off. We got some purchase orders. We were looking to seek with some partners for capital, potentially get a loan. There's a lot of things that were in the air, potentially with grants. Everything kind of fell through. We were making people angry, and we're not ready to engage until we actually have a product in hand, and that's been the biggest issue.
Okay, how do you retain your team in this tough time when you don't have money and you still want to launch?
Yeah, that's also an excellent question, and that's been the benefit of being bootstrapped. I've got a very close business partner, someone that's a Tillman scholar, someone that I've known on the military side of the house, someone that I consider to be a brother that we've worked closely together, and we've been in every step of the way to make those next steps happen.
Thank you. That's all.
All right, next, Dana.
Hey, Andrew. Thank you for the very strong opening by using a personal story. Really appreciate that. I wanted to ask you, it sounds very silly, but it sounds like a really good idea and simple idea. Why nobody have come up with this before?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's what I asked myself when I was 20 years old and in Afghanistan. Was like, well, this is stupid. Like, someone is definitely smarter than me is going to come along and fix this. And then, I go through medical school, the same thing was happening, go through residency, continue to happen. I became an attending, the same thing happened to me. And I was like, this is crazy. So I speaking and getting further into the weeds, you look at these companies. We've been in talks, a couple of groups. I don't want to name names or name draw, but there was a couple of talks about acquisition early for an easy out. I don't know if they were just going to kill this project and not let this hit market. But when you look at the teams that are lined up, these are not clinicians. They have someone they maybe bring on and ask them a question, but they're not involved in this design whatsoever. And that's what I've enjoyed in myself. We're all physicians, control freaks. I have everything from the top to the bottom. I've designed everything from start to get go to the end. So that's been a question I've asked too. And these companies do not have this driven from the clinician side of the house.
Yep, because that would be what are the market limitation for that, and you probably until you get there. And the pricing model, did I miss that? Did you talk about how would you price it? I know you said pricing on lowers. Correct.
Yeah, we've gotten contracts. We went through government bids as well. Just that we've used those acts to get information to see what actually bids have been putting out and what governments are paying for to get a price point. But we're well below that because there's not much overhead, and combining this with our potential manufacturing partners, it's not come anywhere near what a glide scope would cost. Anywhere near, of course, what a CMAC, those sort of players.
Yeah, you probably want to just think about the model moving forward, how you continue to generate revenue, because at what point is going to hit top. So you're going to figure out how you continue doing that. But thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Doreen.
Yeah, so foremost, this is a very enjoyable presentation. It followed the KISS principle. But most importantly, Dr. Napier, I want to thank you for your service. And I think it's just brilliant. It's an idea which can save lives. It has already 2 patents on it. I think you're on the right track. You just need to be connected to the right people. And I do agree. If it's a lightweight and a small, maybe even foldable item, or maybe even 3D printable item, it will be very useful. Are there different sizes?
Yes, actually, so the first iteration we have are from pediatric all the way down. So we have every size, and everything has been 3D printed to this date. So that was something that I got familiar with and just got at it. So everything's been 3D printed.
Yeah, thank you so much. I enjoyed the presentation, and all the best to you. I think you will be very successful.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, judges.